What's going on YouTube? Welcome to another video. Joining me here for another lower body workout. And we are doing the old SSB here. And this was during the time frame I was trying to do the low bar variation. And it just wasn't for me. So I wanted to preface this by saying I tried to not overload, but make progress with it. Decided it really wasn't for me and then made some changes to where I wanted to go. So yeah, I don't really like the tipsy-toppy sitting back of the low bar. It just feels kind of weird. So I just want to preface that. But we did try to put some weight on it, and I suffered some like hamstring and glute issues because of it. Just felt like I was off balance or whatever. But ultimately, not a fan. So there's a bunch of settings you can do on here, and I tend to find the more upright, even though I may not be upright settings, like the SSB and the high bar are just better built for me, and I'm not sure why exactly. It might just be an anatomy thing, but also the handle is just for balance and stuff too, though. I've got a short torso and I'm very top heavy, so anytime I have to sit back and kind of go forward into a squat with these long legs, that's like a problem for me. So basically, I am going to continue to experiment with the squats and kind of see where I want to go and then temper expectations. But there's little things you can do to make progress, and I made decent progress before the injury with like the straight barbell, and it was totally fine with me. But I am, I'm always looking to find the next movement that I can do to help round out my game. And so with the SSB, there's so many different workouts and stuff you can do, and I just have to keep making changes until things work. And you don't have to squat. I could be doing machines all the time, but I like the ability to squat free weights. That is my favorite thing to do, my preferred way. If you ask me what my favorite lower body exercises are, it's going to be a deadlift first and then a squat, mainly because I hate squats, but they are a necessity. You can tell when people squat heavy, squat with volume, they've got a certain look to their physique, and then you can tell when people mainly use machines. And depending on what your goals are, I like the ruggedity, I'm trying to make up a word here, the rugged look of basically, the body you build from those heavy compounds. And a lot of lifters, when they just do a lot of isolation stuff, things restricting full range of motion and restricting full usability of the joint and everything, you tend to build these more compact, almost like physiques. You tend to see the bigger, thicker guys because the tendons, the joints, the ligaments are all, being stressed, and they're going to have to recover in order to go forward from there. You can tell when somebody deadlifts and when somebody doesn't. There's a size to their physique. Same thing with squats. And even, I think benching is probably the most evident for the most part, because there are some like crazy benchers at low body weights who basically will maximize range of motion, but you can tell usually when someone's a big presser. They've got a big chest, big back, and you can tell there. Same thing with a squatter. You'll see like really defined quads, hamstrings, stuff like that. So I like having those attributes because it basically signals to everybody, hey, this guy's put in the work, he knows what he's doing. That's why you see a lot of these really small, kids in the gym that like haven't put in that time and effort, haven't built that muscle maturity, and that's kind of like another bozo term, but basically progressive resistance over time over heavy compound lifts will build a physique a certain way. And so you just have to decide what's the best option for yourself. If that's not something you're going for and you want more of that, like, I don't know, maybe like aesthetic, slimmer physique, then maybe reconsider. But for everyone here, for health and related purposes, I think heavy compound lifting is going to be your best for, longevity, health, bone, joint, and muscular, development. Obviously not lifting like an idiot. If you're like destroying your body and ranges of motion aren't safe, that's probably best to not do that. But for the most part, it's probably going to be your best bet as a natural lifter. Once you take the glass ceiling off that, there's really not much, it's a different game at that point. Anyway, barbell rows here, and using the regular stiff bar compared to the deadlift bar last time. I feel like it keeps me more honest and I can get a better grip. Again, a little bit of body English in here. I have been alternating my back day. It's either come after a leg day, almost a day after, or there's a day in between where I'll take my off day. It just depends on the weather. I've been doing a lot of kayak fishing in the outdoors. So based off of weather, whether it's raining, heat, or whatever, I'm picking the day where I'm going to go out. It's either a Wednesday or a Thursday, so that's why sometimes the workouts are right after each other, maybe 3 days in a row, you know, or maybe 3 days in a row after the fact. It just depends on when I decide to go. But yeah, I mean, we're in the gym training regardless. And the thing with the kayak fishing is sometimes I'm using the motor, sometimes I'm using the paddle, so it may be like a full-on paddle up a river for several hours, and that's tiring and exhausting. In addition to like fishing, um, I am mostly um, how do I want to say this? I'm mostly somebody who likes to just do the things I like to do. Sometimes they're exhausting and I pay the price for it, but like that's what I've decided to accept as a compromise. So obviously fishing isn't intensive or whatever, but like when you're kayaking and maintaining your position in water and moving around, like that defeats the whole thing. I've got to launch my boat, move the trailer, load everything up. There's just a lot of different components that go to it. And sometimes when you're lifting, it's, man, this feels heavier than it did last time because I'm tired and didn't recover as well or not eating as much. But, that's why you do balance. That's why you taper things if they're not feeling too well. So it's been fun. I'm usually more active in the summer. I like being outdoors, more walks with the dog and stuff like that. But if you're doing a lot of high volume, heavy stress training, keep an eye on all that. Like you can get away with a lot less. I just like training with a lot. So that's just my personality and what I like to do. Lots of volume, that's always been my thing. So lamp pull down here with the illumination of the window. Nice tint to my skin after all the kayak sessions with all the tan and everything from being in the sun. But just being able, I really love this mag grip though. It really helps me contract the lats and everything. You can kind of see them here get real narrow and contraction at the top and everything there. So I'm really liking that. And then throw some chalk on there. I'm not a big fan of the straps or like the lifting Versa grips or whatever, but I am using whatever is going to get the job done. I'll use the Versas for the barbell rows, obviously, because rowing a barbell is a little bit more intensive on the hands and sweat and everything like that. So, but when it comes to isolations, a little bit easier to control. Cable row here, and again, using that same attachment from the last one, and then just being able to transition with simply a clip here, moving the handle down to a different clip, and then being able to do it right there. So super useful, and lets me get the work I need to get done. So that's basically the clip here. I'll probably show a little bit more sometimes when I'm filming I feel lazy, but there's the workout. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching the latest video. If you want to help support the channel, I actually own my own wet shaving and grooming e-commerce website where everything's handmade by me. It's www.apexsoaps.com, and you can get a 10% off code using wet shaver. We've got some cool scents here. We've got some Coca-Cola scents, a horchata scent, traditional barbershop, just some really cool stuff. And you can purchase samples or you can buy the whole set. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out via email. Be quick to respond. Thanks for watching.